Please take the time to watch the speech if you have a chance. Don't listen to anything the mainstream media says. If they say this was a dark speech, if they say this was a hateful speech, they're freaking liars. That's fake news.
Breaking news with Holy Joe Rock and Roll.
Hello everybody, it's your boy Holy Joe Rock and Roll coming at you live and as always, unscripted. I just watched the joint address where President Donald J. Trump gave a speech to the joint session of Congress, meaning the House and the Senate were there. And just want to run through, shouldn't take that long, but this is unscripted. I just tweeted out as it unfolded my sort of comments and my reaction. When President Trump first came out, he's looking bold. He's looking badass. Blue and white striped tie, really nice suit. I've been told that he's getting his suits now made in America, custom fitted. He looks good. His wife, Melania, looked beautiful, and they showed her off. Standing ovation, lots of smiles. Melania also got a standing ovation. Trump said that this is a message of unity and strength, and it was, about national pride and a renewal of the American spirit. Coming up is the 250th anniversary of America declaring its independence, and he refers back to that later on in the speech. But this speech was a speech about the end of globalism, that we need to defend our borders against illegal immigration and drugs. People want a fair shake. They want a fair deal in America. And we can't do that if we're not going to defend our borders. America first. This is the Make America Classic Trump. It was classic Trump. He said, jobs are coming back. Vets are going to be taken care of. We're going to rebuild our military. New roads, new bridges, new infrastructure, and an end to these drugs just pouring into the country. He's keeping his promises to the American people. He's going to rebuild the inner cities. And he listed a list of companies investing billions of dollars and promising to hire hundreds of thousands of Americans to create new jobs. He mentions the stock market is up, and it was up 11 days in a row to record highs. On the 12th day, it went down like 28 points. I think that was today. But the stock market is definitely enthusiastically behind the president. He mentioned how he reduced prices on the F-35 and it's going to drain the swamp with his executive order banning officials from lobbying for 5 years and a lifetime ban on officials lobbying on the behalf of foreign governments. Also making a historic effort to reduce job-crushing regulations. And again, he signed an executive order saying that for any new regulation, you need to eliminate 2 regulations. Oh, he mentioned bringing the jobs back to coal miners, and West Virginia governor, I believe it was, or was it senator, stood up and smiled, definitely. New pipelines proved using USA steel, made in America steel. So, if you think about this holistic message, I forgot to mention, when Trump opened the speech, the first thing that he mentioned, I'm surprised it wasn't tweeted out. Somehow it didn't get tweeted out, but he mentioned that we just finished Black History Month, and also he deplored the recent reports of desecrations to Jewish cemeteries, where a couple of Jewish cemeteries, the tombstones were knocked down. Now, so far, since Donald J. Trump was elected, November 8th of 2016, there have been many reported so-called racist incidents. Now, to my knowledge, 99%, if not 100% of them have been shown to be fake attacks, fake events. They were all either made up, they were false, they're all false flags. Now, this could be the same thing for this Jewish cemetery stone thing. However, the fact that he mentioned it and is opposed to it, it just de-arms any of his opponents who might think that he's, somehow supporting it. Obviously, he's not supporting it. Where were we now? West Virginia. Okay. Trump mentions the withdrawal from the TPP and the conference that he had with Canada's Prime Minister about helping women get better access to the markets for raising money or getting money to do business activities. Law enforcement to break up criminal cartels and drug gangs in the U.S., help those addicted to get off drugs. And by the way, this speech was punctuated with endless, almost virtually every line, probably every paragraph, had a standing ovation. Now the Dems, the women at least, were all dressed in white. They looked stupid. And it was. We'll have some more comments on that. Border security. We're enforcing our laws, and these are all the things that Trump promised. I mean, people are amazed that he's doing what he promised on both sides. The left is anti-Trump because he's doing what he's promised. People who supported Trump are amazed, they're happy, and that's what we all said, was just, please, just keep your promises. And that's what he's doing. So some people are amazed on the right because it's, we've just seen for the last 20, 30 years, Republicans getting into power and doing basically the opposite of what they promised. But here we have a president who's keeping his word, and it's a great thing. I mean, isn't that what we were taught as children? Keep your word, keep your promises, right? And that's what he's doing. Yeah, no more lawless chaos on the border. Great Wall with Mexico, the construction is starting soon. Probably this month, in March, the Great Wall will begin construction in various parts. We're removing gang members and criminals right now, again, as promised. Trump reminds us that service, to serve and protect and defend, is our obligation as the government. That's the government's job, to serve and protect its people. That's the main job of government, and the president, for that matter. And we're going to defend against radical Islamic terrorism. And he says the words, radical Islamic terrorism. He's not afraid to say the words. He lists several Islamic attacks around the world and reminds people that it's reckless to let people in from places without proper vetting, or where proper vetting cannot occur. It only makes sense. Many ovations, let in people, talking about immigration, we're going to let in people only if they love our people and our values. We're not going to become a sanctuary for bad people who wish to do us harm. We're going to destroy ISIS. I say hashtag is, make it hashtag was. It's a vile enemy. And he's announced new sanctions against Iran's missile program and companies that support Iran's missile program, and reaffirmed support for Israel. As promised, Donald Trump appointed somebody to the Supreme Court from his list of justices. He's already done that. He also thanked the wife of Anthony Scalia, who was there and who had passed away, making the seat vacant. Next steps are to help the 94 million people not working, 43 million people in poverty, 43 million people on food stamps. 1 in 5 of work-age people are not working, and he wants to help that. He inherited a huge debt under Obama, where we lost jobs and factories, and the trade deficit with the world, the United States trade deficit, is nearly $800 billion, along with many other global problems. He wants to solve these problems. He says we need to work together to solve our problems, to start the engine of the U.S. economy to improve things. I say, who can disagree with that? If you're on the left and you claim to be for the working class, which obviously it's not, the left has been really for special interests, homosexuals, transgender, queers, weird people, totally nonsensical non-American, non-Western value type stuff. They have been defending that rather than defending the actual working people. And I'm saying, who can disagree with these things? Really? Tax reform coming to help companies compete with anyone, anywhere. Big cut, massive tax relief for the middle class. This has been sort of telegraphed to be coming out maybe in around August, that he has to reform, repeal and replace Obamacare first before he can reform tax code. But I think it's going to be coming. Also, we mentioned all these unfair trade deals. The USA hardly taxes imports or none at all, while others charge USA a lot. I've mentioned this before. Many people don't realize this, and it's true. Try sending something, even as a gift, from the U.S. to anybody in any foreign country. In Europe, in the EU, you're going to get hit with a VAT, a value-added tax, unless it's very tiny and slips through. Anything over 20 euros is going to be hit with a value-added tax, which is anywhere from 16 to 23% in that country, plus a little processing fee. I mean, that's a minimum. That's a minimum, okay? But if I send anything to the U.S., it goes right in, okay? So these are really unfair trade deals that has to be addressed. And he mentioned that Harley-Davidson came to the White House and brought 5 of their models, brought them to the White House lawn, and they asked Trump if to ride one. He said, no, thank you. It was kind of funny. But that some companies, like Harley-Davidson, they're taxed 100% when they export their motorcycles to some countries, right? So at a minimum, it's going to be that value-added tax. But there's also other import duties country to country, and it's all against us. There is no free trade. It's definitely not fair trade. So Trump's talking about free trade, yes, but fair trade. U.S. government must protect the economy. As Lincoln said, we're not going to let the U.S. be taken advantage anymore. So China, even Germany, Japan, you guys are big exporters to the U.S. We buy a hell of a lot more shit from you guys than you buy from us. I'm saying that as an American, but that's going to have to change, right? Or you're going to have to start building your shit in the U.S. if you want to sell it in the U.S. That's what's going to have to happen. We're bringing back millions of jobs. Oh, the camera panned to Chuck Schumer. He looked pretty sad. And Trump says, we're going to reform immigration with a merit-based system, like what Australia does. Now, what's really funny is the lamestream lying media try to pre-game this speech, saying that Trump might pull a Nixon-type thing and offer a legal path to those in the country illegally. And it's just not going to happen, people. Trump campaigned on getting illegal immigrants the hell out of our country. They got to go back, and they can apply to come in, and then we'll let them in if we want to. That's the way it's got to be. That's the law. That's not going to change with Trump. And you can see that here. It did not happen. So, real reform must improve U.S. citizens and respect for the law. Talking about immigration reform. Infrastructure rebuilding. It's time for national rebuilding. We wasted probably $6 trillion in these foreign wars. It's time to rebuild the USA. Trump is asking for a $1 trillion infrastructure plan to create millions of jobs, rebuild the roads, the bridges, the tunnels, the airports. And it's not a $1 trillion in 1 year. It's going to be like $100 billion a year for the next 10 years. We certainly can find money to cut from other programs to provide for the spending. And with Trump, a builder, as president, overlooking the rebuilding, I'm sure there's going to be a fine-tooth comb going through these contracts, making sure that, we're going to buy American, we're going to hire American, and that they're going to give us good bids, and they're going to keep their word. When they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it, and they're going to do it for the right price. But yeah, buy American, hire American are the principal ideas. Repeal and replace Obamacare. Yeah, I mentioned here, stupid Democrat women all in white. They look really silly. And Nancy Pelosi wasn't even wearing a white. She was wearing like a white, like a golf jacket, like a I don't know, like a sports, not a sports coat, like a suit, but like, it even had a logo on it. It looks stupid. She looked really stupid. Healthcare mandate is not the solution. What's the solution to the healthcare crisis and fixing and improving Obamacare is lower the cost of healthcare. That's what we're going to do, he says. Lower the cost of healthcare. I'm going to put out a video on actual real numbers on healthcare in the U.S. and how it could be definitely implemented. Obamacare is failing and unsustainable. Insurers are leaving, and he's totally stabs at Obama, who lied when he said, you can keep your doctor, you can keep your plan. Those were lies. He didn't call it lies, but he basically said that. Remember, when they were told that, it wasn't true. So action is necessary to save Americans from this imploding Obamacare disaster. We want to keep the pre-existing coverage clause that look, it shouldn't matter. These insurance pools should be so huge and the insurance premiums should be so cheap that everybody will voluntarily buy it because it only makes sense. Just like you have to buy car insurance, right? But it just only makes sense. Why would you have that liability? You're driving essentially a vehicle that can hurt people, or if you can do a lot of damage. So you have to buy that. But health insurance, even if you're healthy, you need to see a doctor maybe once a year. If the premiums are low enough, it makes sense. And I think that's what's going to happen. Insure access help. He wants to help with tax credits and savings accounts that allow you to pick the plan that you want, not government forced. State governors should have the money and the flexibility to protect people and doctors and lower prices for drugs. So he's also talking about, I think, sort of a tort reform there, where people and doctors don't have to worry about getting sued. He didn't say that specifically, but I think that's what he's aiming for. Also allow medical insurance across state lines. This will drop the costs more and provide for better care. We can fix everything that is broken. Or he said everything that is broken we can fix. This is a very positive, very uplifting message from the president. Our citizens deserve this. Let's join forces, he says, and get the job done and get it done right. This was a very powerful speech. And he's saying that Democrats and Republicans should unite for the good of the American people. We need to have child care affordability and paid family leave. Now, most big companies offer some kind of paid family leave, but obviously if you're the mother, you're not going to be working. You're going to be out. For the father, it's usually like a week, 2 weeks in the U.S. Other countries, it's more liberal. Anyhow, I'm going to invest in women's health, clean air, clean water, rebuild our military and our infrastructure. And I just pause. What about men's health? It doesn't mention investing in men's health. I mean, I'm just saying. He didn't mention that. But, that's fine. There was a rare disease victim in the session. Her father founded a company to find a cure that saved her life. She's now, I believe she's 20 years old. She's in college now. She's obviously in a wheelchair. She's crippled up. But she had a rare disease that was normally fatal. But her father, as he said, started a company to find a cure. The FDA is too slow with getting new drugs out there to help these kinds of people. He wants to slash delays not only at the FDA but across the government to really better serve the people. Again, how can anybody seriously be against these types of policies? I mean, obviously, if you're deep state or big state invested in the status quo, and your power comes from having a lot of people sucking at the tit of the government, you're going to be opposed to this. But what this is saying is that layoffs are coming. People are going to get fired. There's going to be a downsizing of all of these companies to make them run faster, run better, run quicker. Education is a civil right of our times. He's asking for an educational bill for school choice focusing on low-income African Americans and Latino American children. But what about white kids? He doesn't say white kids. Okay, there's these subtle things. Doesn't mention men. Doesn't mention whites. Okay, just some subtle things, but it's political. It's politics. Okay, he wants to break the cycle of poverty. All children should have a choice. We need to break the cycle of violence as well. 4,000 people have been shot in Chicago, right, in the last year. And then he mentions a girl who grew up in poverty, an African-American girl, who, because she had some scholarship to go to a special school, she is on her way to get a master's degree. And education is part of the process to getting out of poverty. We all deserve safe communities, great schools, and a great job for everybody. We need to support our law enforcement to help make this happen. We need to stop driving division between cops and people. We need to support law enforcement and victims of crime. He mentions a new program called, I think, Voice, to provide a voice for victims of crime. And he mentions 4 brave Americans in the audience, all victims of crime committed by illegal aliens in the United States. And one of them was Jamil Shaw's father. It was rather emotional. More illegal crime was about some cops killed in California, and the daughter and a wife was in the audience. Those are the other 4 people. We're never going to stop fighting for justice, and we'll honor their memory, the memory of these people who died. We're going to provide tools for our military. They have to fight and only win. New budget that he's proposing will end the sequester. At the Joint Chiefs, they show the Joint Chiefs, they look pretty damn serious. And veteran care is going to be boosted in the budget. Then he turns to Ryan, who was a Navy SEAL who died recently in a covert action in Yemen. There was a hugely successful raid. It yielded huge intelligence bonanza. It's going to save a lot of people, according to Trump. Huge standing ovation for Ryan's, the SEAL's wife, who's a hero. It was really amazing. Trump then lets our allies know that we will engage with the world. We support NATO, but our partners must meet their obligations, and money is pouring in. And this could be actually a good cover for Germany to say, listen, we can't support these Muslim migrants anymore. We got to boost our defense spending, start deporting them. Okay? We expect our partners to pay their fair share and respect. We will respect foreign countries' rights, but they have to respect ours. Trump says, my job is to represent the United States of America. I'm the president of the United States. I'm not the president of the world, which is awesome. Make America great again. America first. Hell yes. I say hell yes to that. We want peace, not war. Harmony is the best for everyone. Better world for peace, just and free. That's what we want. Peace, justice, and freedom. Then Trump mentions at our centennial anniversary, Americans' 100th anniversary, mentions a lot of famous inventors and the products and the inventions that came up with, the telephone, stuff like that. And the camera panned to Senator Al Franken from Minnesota, who looked like he shit himself. Or maybe he has just low blood sugar. He looked totally dejected. Totally dejected freak. Millions will be lifted from welfare to work. Make America Great Again is for all Americans. We're one people. We have one destiny. And we're all made by the same God. Too many standing ovations to count. Trump mentions again 250 years of America. Time for small thinking is over. Trivial BS has to be behind us. Let's turn our dreams into action and reality. We need to be inspired by the future, dreaming big and bold for our country. And I say the Democrats do not have a chance. How are you going to compete with this positive Americana vision of the future? You can't. Not my president, never Trump. That's not going to work. We need to move to the future, and this is a big and a bold speech. It was probably the best speech ever. Normally halfway through, you start falling asleep, your mind starts wandering. This did not happen to me. All the Dems and the anti-Trumpers looked upset and dejected, when they panned the cameras. And what's sad is that a lot of them did not stand up for things that they have traditionally been in favor of. Democrats been in favor of infrastructure spending, didn't stand up. Okay, really a bunch of hypocrites. This was a great speech, but I ask in my final tweet on #JointSession, will the libtards listen and understand we need to come together to make America great again for all Americans? And with that, he said, God bless you, God bless the United States of America, ended the speech. It was really a powerful speech. It really was a speech to try to unite the country, bring Democrats and Republicans together to get things done. And truthfully, if the libtards don't acquiesce a little bit to try to get things happening, they're going to continue to lose, as they've been losing for the last 8 years under Obama, losing governorships, losing legislative offices, losing the House, losing the Senate, and of course, losing the presidency. So this is really your last chance. I'm writing a song right now called, I guess it's called maybe The Last Chance. And I think this is probably the last chance for the Democrat Party, that they're imploding, they're destroying themselves. And if they don't come on board to, they can be the party of the opposition if they want to be. But there's so many things that we agree on that are good for the American people, good for the country, that for them to resist that, they're going to be looked at as resistors in a bad way. And I think it's just going to destroy their party even further. Please take the time to watch the speech if you have a chance. Don't listen to anything the mainstream media says. If they say this was a dark speech, if they say this was a hateful speech, they're freaking liars. That's fake news. Watch this speech for yourself, known as Joint Session. It occurred, I guess, 28th of February, or is it March 1st? Let's see here. Probably the 28th of February. Find it on YouTube. Find it wherever you can. Just listen to the speech yourself, and you'll be amazed at how positive and energetic it was. It was a great speech. And like Trump, I remind you to make it happen for the captain, because you're the captain.
Breaking news with Holy Joe Rock and Roll.